Hey everybody, Stephanie Antonik here again with Hoof to Heart Horsemanship. We are in another tutorial with Neferatari, and today we will be introducing our saddle pad and our saddle. So, this mare has had some work over the last couple weeks. One of the tools that I use to prep them for saddle work is a flag and different stimulus so that they have a little bit of a understanding of how to handle and show up when we add something new. So I will show you how that works. Stay tuned. So right away, you see that she's fairly inquisitive. She came right up, she's inspecting it, she's sussing it out, which I love. I really, really, really appreciate a horse that's inquisitive, that isn't coming to the table with a bunch of baggage. They're naturally wanting to explore their environment and new things. So we got a lick and a chew. She's moving around, she's exploring. I'm not seeing any major signs of fear here, which is great. I suspect that this will go fairly easily for her. So after she's had a chance to explore it, I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my flag. I'm going to bring it to her shoulder and neck and let her check it out there and let her feel that, keeping in mind that I have my line really loose here. She has all sorts of options as to where she can go. She can leave if she wants to. She can stay. Very good. No big deal. Very good. Flap that around, and as she's confident, I move that back into the more vulnerable zones. Good girl. So we see we got a little bit of movement there when we went to the back end of the horse. And that's okay. I'm not going to get big about it. I think a part of that is she'd like to be up here playing with it. So she's turning so she can get her face in here and play. So we'll do that again. Just drop her forward a step. Good girl. Good girl. Very nice. Starting in the midline. So here when she's jostling a little bit, I'm just going to shake the line and go, oh. See if I can communicate to her that I'd like her to stay still if she can. Very good. Very good. Awesome. Very good. And then we pet. Let her check it out again. Very nice. And then we come to the other side. Making sure that we're really watching our hand. Sometimes we get busy with our tools and our rope gets wrapped around in the wrong way. We want to make sure that this is in a loop, not wrapped around our hand. It's very important when we're introducing new stimulus because you just don't know how your green horse is going to react. Good girl. Very nice. Very nice. Let's come over here, love. Good girl. Good girl. Very nice. So remembering that I'm going to let her see this from both sides before I even think about swinging it over her midline. So we notice when we get to the back end, she gets a little bit more wiggly. I don't see any real fear response, but she's just not 100% sure what I want her to do here. Good girl. Very good. She's kind of looking around at the environment. I'm not seeing any major signs that this is the more serious thing on her roster. She'd rather be seeing what's happening out in the paddocks. So that's a great sign. Good girl. Very nice. Take a moment to pause and reward. Let her think about that. Very good. Let her explore it again if she wants. Good girl. So now that I've introduced it from both sides, I feel more confident to get a little bit more active with it. So I'll take it on. I'll draw it over her midline. Put it through to her other line of sight. Good girl. Good girl. Put it under her chest where she can't see it. That area tends to be a vulnerable place for horses, so no surprise when they're like, hey, I don't like that being in an area where I can't see it. Good girl. Very good. Very good. Yep, and she's just moving because I used quite a bit of energy with that, which she thought was a sending aid, which is totally fine. I'm just going to keep playing with it there until she stops and then reward. Good girl. Yep, that's okay. And she's totally just misreading that as me asking her to yield her haunches. So I'm just going to keep placing that there until she realizes that's not what I'm doing here. And if she needs my help, I'll just give that a wiggle and say, no, babe, you can stand still. Good girl. Totally fine. That was less of an evasion as it was a misunderstanding. Good girl. So now that I've got her comfortable with that on both sides, good girl. Now I feel like I can open that right up and swing it right on. Good girl. Good girl. focus if I can. Put it up her neck. How does she respond to that? Take it up her tail. Good girl. Good girl. Very nice. Very good. Good girl. Good girl. And this is a great example of how she's going to start to learn to read in between the lines and know when I'm asking her to move her hip or when I'm just positioning my pad, or I've gotten sloppy with putting my tools on, right? So here, you know, when I swing that at her butt, I want her to know the difference between me asking her to yield and me having no intention at all, because that's what we really want them in tune with, is our intention. Good girl. Very good. Very good. Nice job. And again, on both sides. Good girl. Good girl. So just tell her no thanks, I don't need the feet to move. Thank you. Good girl. There. Good. Great, so that was a really good start. I'm pretty happy with that. As I said, I didn't anticipate this being a major issue. She's quite a bold horse. And so hopefully I will have another prospect here that I can demonstrate that with and help problem solve when they are reactive. Good girl, Tari. Next, we will be adding the saddle to the equation. So one of the preparations that I like to do before I add a saddle is I like to take my lead rope, I put it over the back, and I bring it together on one of the sides of the horse, doesn't matter which side, and I just practice kind of putting a pull on either side of that so they can feel that cinching feel, right? So I'll take her forward, good girl, and then I'll throw my rope up and demonstrate what that looks like. Good girl. So that's on that side there. I'm going to reach underneath and I'm going to put that by her wither, and I'm just going to put a little pull up and down and watch her reaction. Is she explosive? Is that frightening to her? Does she feel trapped by it? I'm just reading, right? Because that's going to give me a really good indicator on how the first saddling is going to go. Am I going to get a big explosive reaction, or is she going to kind of stay with me and wait for instruction? So no response there. That was great. Again, she's kind of a bold horse, very inquisitive and interactive, so I don't anticipate saddling being an issue. So we're going to go ahead, grab our saddle, and give that a try. So same process as, you know, it's the same foundation that the horse becomes familiar with. Is that he gets to check it out, inspect it, see what he thinks, explore and be inquisitive, which I'll let her do. And she's, again, just super chill about it, not too worried, because she doesn't have any bad experiences that she's carrying around. No baggage there, which is great. It's one of my favorite things about an unstarted horse, is it's like a blank canvas. Good girl, very good. So you'll notice that I don't have a saddle pad on her, and I'd like to introduce them separately. So, I mean, it's just one more thing that can go wrong. If you're putting the saddle pad on and then you're adding the saddle and you're not swift enough and one goes blowing off, I like to add them independently, and then once they have both, we'll add both at the same time. Yeah, good girl. So you can see she's kind of lost interest. She's a little bit bored. That's a pretty good sign. I'm ready to get started. So again, same thing. I'll come up and I'll touch her shoulder with it. Good girl. And again, she just has to read whether I want something or she needs to just chill and relax. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. I'm going to touch her sides. I'm going to swing it around. She has to be comfortable with me accidentally fumbling and making a mistake. So I'm not going to do this all slow and sketchy. Like some people will just slowly sneak it on the horse. That's not a great approach. I want her to be comfortable with me making a mistake. I want her to be comfortable with me bumping her, swinging it the wrong way, all of those fun things. Good girl. Yeah, check it out. Good girl. Yeah. good. Very good, Tari. Yep. So just touch. Rubber with it everywhere. Good girl. Very good. Not too bad on that side. It's always nice to have a light saddle for this. Change sides. Good girl. Just move her so you can see. Good girl. Good girl. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very nice. So both sides, no problem. That's it. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Very nice. Good girl. Very good. Comfortable there. Super nice. See if I can draw her down. Her relax. Very good. Nice lick chew. Take it off. Good girl. Good girl. Very good. Very good. Important that we're doing this from both sides. And she's allowed to move, that's okay. Good girl. Very good. Super cool. Very nice. So I'll move that up the neck, down the back, and the bum. Good girl. Good girl. No reaction there, which is really swell. For the most part, it was just a matter of miscommunication. She misread me. Maybe she thought I wanted her to move her feet, and she caught on really quickly that she was just to stand still and be with me and be present and waiting. That was really good. Now I'm going to go ahead and add both and put on the girth as well. Good girl. Yeah, and if she wants to explore before I put it on, I'll absolutely allow her to do that. Good girl. Very good. Good girl. I just repeated that because the first time she actually mistook it for a walk forward aid or a send aid. So I just want to clean that up and make sure that I'm making it really clear in her mind what I'm asking for when I'm throwing the saddle pad on, which is nothing, which is for her just to relax and wait. Good girl. Very good. One more time. Again, I let her check it out, and I will do this every single time I saddle my green horses until they're no longer interested in checking it out. Good. I want it to be boring. Good. Very good. Very good. So before I do this cinch up, or the girth, I will bring it under the belly and have it touch her a few times, get her comfortable with what that feels like. Make it some noise. Take that underneath. How does she respond to that touching her underbelly and slapping her on the other side? Good girl. Good, good, girl. Very good. Under, touch her with it. And then I want to make sure that I snug this up, not screaming tight, but snug enough that she's not able to turn it. So if she does decide she can't handle it and she has a bucking fit, I don't want this saddle to turn. So it should be snug enough it can't turn, but not tight enough that it's overwhelming for her. So the time if she's going to react to this is when she takes a step forward and she feels it on her body. So I'm going to be cautious about what I'm doing, because horses will often check out that you're there. They'll blow up and they'll jump right in your space or on top of you if you're not paying attention. So I'm going to be really cautious that I'm aware of where I am when she takes those first couple steps and that I'm directing them. I don't want her moving forward accidentally here when I'm not paying attention. Girl. Good girl. Okay, so I have that tight enough that I'm happy with that. I'm actually going to ask her to back up first and see how she feels about that. I want to be off to the side. Good girl. I want to have her thoughts here so that she's not just being reactive. She's already in thinking brain when that girth takes a feel of her. Good girl. I really am not a big fan of putting a saddle on a horse and putting them in a round pen and just letting them buck it out. I think that just layers in trauma, you know, like we don't need to go there. I think that it should just be such a boring experience, like, okay, what's next? I want my horse thirsty for more because they're almost on the edge of boredom. So as you can see, she's blinking, she's chilling out, like not a worried look on her at all, which is the whole point. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Nice little licking chew. Very good. Very nice. So I'm going to just check that girth again, just making sure that it's snug enough that it's going to do its job if we need it to. So once I have a comfortable backup and I'm not seeing any reaction there, I'm going to go through my move the hip, move the shoulder again, and then we'll put it all together in a forward motion. So I'm going to ask her to move her hip. Good girl. Very good. Very good. Good girl. Again, keeping her in thinking brain. Good girl. Very nice. Move the shoulders. Good. Is this horse able to stay connected with me mentally even though I've added a new stimulus? And this is what we're layering into all of our training, is that our horse is always going to keep looking to us no matter what new thing is happening, no matter what the situation throws at us. Good girl. Good girl. Good. So we've got a couple steps of movement and we haven't seen a change in her expression. I'm really liking that. I'm going to do the same on this side and then we'll get her moving forward. Good girl. Okay, no drama. I'm going to send her right into that circle. Good girl. Very nice. Good job, Tari. Oh. Good girl. Good girl. So all my aids are still there, even though she's kind of having to think about something new. Good girl. That's funny. Good girl. Very nice. we're thrilled with that. So, I mean, this is what a first saddling should look like. I don't have blow-ups with my first saddlings because I really take my time. I'm not in a rush. This whole relationship that we're establishing really needs to be built on trust and not trauma. So the places where I can take time and really instill her looking to me and her seeking my guidance, that starts now, and I can really easily wreck that by rushing the process, by being like, I'm just going to get this saddle on and we're just going to get it done, and it's whatever happens happens. I think that's the wrong attitude when we're building brains on these nice young horses. So that's all we're going to do for today, and we'll keep layering that in piece by piece until the whole picture comes together as one.